Apart from high gas prices, there are few things more hated than red lights. The more you're running late, the more likely it feels like you will hit one red light after another over the next 2 nights. In a News 18 special report called Ready, Set, Wait, we'll take a look at how those traffic timing decisions are made and even give you a few tricks to put some more green into your commute. Before you get mad the next time you have to wait, no, there is a method to the madness. But one of the most important tools to traffic engineers is also one of the most misunderstood. If you want to know what runs just about any stoplight in town, don't look up, look down. It's in the pavement, usually a circle, sometimes an octagon. In updated ones, it may be even smaller. The sensor. What are they trying to measure?
Sure, it's based on weight, right? The weight of the car.
Weight sensors determine the weight of the car to make the light turn red or green.
I hear that constantly as well.
And it's all dependent on metal. Weight doesn't have anything to do with it.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Oh, I know.
Each sensor has its own electromagnetic field. The metal in a car interrupts it, transmitting a signal to the traffic light. Based on the timing set and the programming, it will eventually give you the green.
It has nothing to do with the weight. I've seen them jumped on. I've seen them pulled back and forth. I've seen them jump the, everything you can imagine, but it's got to do with the metal of your vehicle.
But how the signals are programmed, monitored, and adjusted when things go wrong is done differently depending on the location.
May or may not come on.
Of Lafayette's 103 traffic lights, 89 can be found and controlled on Fred Koning's management system. About 65 are coordinated. Most obvious are the sequences downtown on Columbia and South Street. But the other major corridors like Sagamore, Creasy, and Main are all timed and intertwined together to keep drivers seeing green.
We can get way more cars through if they're moving. I know it sounds really, really simple, but if they're moving, you can get way more cars through.
To check his work, he can look at scatter plots of all cars at the intersection. This is what he's looking for. The black dots between the green and red lines are drivers on Creasy getting a green light at Amelia. The few black dots below the green line got the red light. But at a busy intersection like McCarty Lane, it's a lot more difficult.
There's not much we can do just because there's so much demand on the side streets.
And many of the drivers who got a red light at McCarty could have come in out of sequence, either by turning left from south or from any one of a number of entrances in between. Some sensors are programmed to have a delay. For example, the right lane on Park East Boulevard has an 8-second delay because so many drivers don't actually need a green light to make the turn.
And look at that really dark ink blot there. So that's actually really good progression for that section of roadway.
The same concepts apply at the State Department of Transportation's Traffic Management Center in Indianapolis. Ed Cox's goal statewide is 60 to 70% of highway drivers arriving on green, using a system developed in part with Purdue's Traffic Lab. But when the Wildcat Creek Bridge and I-65 closed, the goal was 90%, which was eventually reached after a few days of work. Statewide, 20% of INDOT's 2,500 signals can be accessed remotely. But of the 310 traffic lights in the Crawfordsville district, stretching from Lafayette to Terre Haute, about 40% have remote access. Still, each light is visited at least twice a year. Depending on construction, closures, and complaints, some a lot more.
A new signal that goes in will not have the same traffic on day one as it'll have 6 weeks in, 6 months in.
It's a little more low-tech in West Lafayette. There's no remote access or control for the city's 32 lights, but that will change likely once the State Street project is complete. For now, it takes programming a memory card back at the city garage.
You have to just stay on top of it, constantly stay on top of it.
Denny Steele says he's probably in every box about once a month, in part because the city's traffic flow fluctuates so dramatically, mostly because of Purdue.
It'll go from huge amount of cars on Salisbury to nothing. I mean, not nothing, but so it changes, so it evolves a lot. Game days evolve, Fridays are big around here.
When it comes to traffic, that's the one constant: uncertainty. Just when you think you have patterns down perfectly, something will change.
Never ending. They're 24/7, we're on call, and constantly.
It don't take much to get the traffic not to flow, so you have to really stay on top of it.
Anytime we make any kind of a change, I got to change everything.
Each agency says they get very few complaints about timing, on average only about one a month. Those sensors can go bad for a variety of reasons, so if it seems like something is wrong, don't hesitate to let them know. I've got contact information for everyone on our website, WLFI.com. Tomorrow night at 11, we'll share tips to help you from waiting so long at a red light. For example, which direction a busy street like Sagamore gets preference in the various communities and when and why it changes. Plus, if you're riding a motorcycle, where's the best place to stop to trigger the sensor?